Good morning, Hinge friends, afternoon, wherever you are. So excited about this content today. Excuse the congestion. I'm getting this over with early before winter hits. That's what I'm telling myself. So I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for joining, because this is a very meaty subject and one that I feel strongly about, and I believe my friend Thad Joyner does too. So you guys popping in. This content is all about the importance of branding as you grow. And growth can mean a lot of different things. Growth can mean building your enrollment in your current school or schools. It can mean adding new schools. It can mean partnering with another entity to serve more families. So there are a lot of components to growth. But you guys told us that this was the year of growth. So all of our content this year is designed to help you guys in your growth. I think you're lucky if you can count on one hand the number of people that you can call and say, I need something, and they'll be there. And Thad Joyner is in my handful. You don't know that, Thad, so I hope you would. Let's bring Thad in. I want everybody to get to meet Thad. And so this makes this conversation special for that reason, but also the work that Thad has done to elevate our industry to help people be the professionals that they are and treat them the way they deserve to be treated is amazing. Thank you for joining us, Thad Joyner.
Hey, you're always too kind, Kathy. I can't say the same for Alec and Jacqueline, your kids, but you are one of a kind. So thank you for the kind words. And
okay, so I know Thad is showing up in the great Thad form. If he doesn't give somebody a hard time,
that's right,
then something's wrong. Something's wrong with that. So I'll pass that along, Thad. Thank you for that. Thad, I would love for the people here who don't know you to learn about your history in the early education space. It's quite amazing. And could you tell us your story?
Sure. I mean, first off, I have to bring up, so you gave me you let everybody know that I give everybody a hard time all the time, but I will tell you that in August, my oldest son left for college. So now I have a wife, a daughter, and a girl dog as well. And let me tell you, you can't pick on the females in your house quite as much as you can pick on the boys. Now, I've found out that I am missing a little bit of testosterone in the house and the ability to be made fun of and to make fun of other people without hurting feelings. I've been banished to my man cave more than once for not stopping. So anyway, so I may be picking too much these days because I'm missing what I had. But to answer your question, my background, I sold my restaurant business, my first restaurant business, way back in 2007, and in 2009, kind of on the back end of childcare and the big recession that we were going through at the time, and I was working with a childcare company and came home one day, and this gentleman I was working with had an empty center that was giving them trouble, and it was licensed for 250 kids. It only had 40 in it. They were hurting and bleeding. And I just came home and told my wife, I said, hey, we're going to do this. I'm buying it. And, from there quickly grew that one location into, first we added 200 kids in, less than 6 months. We had done a rebrand on that one and really just shot off and quickly did 2 others, bought 3 from you, used Hinge to buy a 3-unit company, but grew the company to 13 units over the course of 4.5 years and then sold them. Also give a shameless plug to Hinge, used Hinge to sell those locations way back when. And then a few years later, when that non-compete was up, I jumped back in it again and grew Cedars Preschool with the help of an operating partner and, through acquisitions and rebrands and remodels, and, sold it just a couple of short years later. And so at my heart, I'm an operator. I love to operate schools. I love to operate restaurants. I love to dig in. But part of that operations, block number one for me is, did you get your brand right? And so I think that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. But that's a little bit of my childcare background. Was there something I missed that you wanted to hear?
No, that's fantastic. So, so first of all, I'd like to ask a broad question, because I find that some people have a misconception about what branding is. It sounds like a logo and a color. Tell us how you define branding, and then also, to piggyback on your story, how did your experience in the restaurant industry jump over to your work in branding?
Well, I mean, that's a two-part different question. Okay, so I'll grab the second part first, since we're talking background. So, how did restaurants jump over? Well, to be honest, I tell people this all the time. I mean, I remember I went to my restaurant company with Golden Corral, actually, and we had our national conference one time, and a football coach from Notre Dame won a national championship, coach at South Carolina, by the name of Lou Holtz. Amazing speaker, by the way, if you want to pull some of his stuff up on YouTube. But had Lou Holtz, and he said, your job, in the restaurant business is to make customers smile and do whatever you can. You're in the yes business for them, and your job is to make them smile. And I really honestly just carried that basic. I mean, I'm not a smart guy, but I do, the 5 or 10 things I know, I do really, really well. I just obsess about those. And when you break it down, really any business, especially a retail business, where you're dealing with a customer directly, like childcare, our goal was to make children smile. Well, I can do that, and we can create an environment where they smile and they learn. We can do that. To me, when I told my wife thought I was crazy when I wanted to go get in childcare. I didn't know what I was doing. I said, look, all we have to do is make people smile. And the good news is we're not selling $10 buffets. We're selling $10,000 tuitions. So I don't have to make as many smile day after day. I don't have to get them to come back. I mean, in the restaurant business, I was trying to get them to come back tomorrow, get them to come back next week. In childcare, I mean, you only need a couple hundred, and you just got to keep making them smile. So that's how that jumped over. And then your other part of your question, which completely bad segue. I don't know how to segue into your other question. That was really a tough two-parter you gave me.
It was, I know.
But the next part is, hey, look, well, how do I define branding? Man, what a perfect time to talk about this. But I'll give you what we say at Better Beans is we say that branding is nothing but telling your story visually throughout your property, throughout your building, throughout your property, throughout your communications. Your brand is everything you say, do. It's how your story is told. Now, this is perfect timing, because everybody over the last 3 weeks, especially about 3 weeks ago, when the Cracker Barrel thing broke, right? They were going to change the logo. Were people mad about them changing the logo? Not really. They were mad that they were going to get rid of the shopping. They were going to change how the dining room looked. They thought they were changing this place that felt like home to hundreds of thousands of people. Like, you go there to feel like home, to get pancakes or vegetables in your belly, and to feel warm and at home, and to shop around stupid stuff in their country store. I mean, that was a place that made you feel like home. And they were changing that. They were changing the story. So it wasn't that they changed the logo. They changed the story. Great brands change their logo all the time. They change their signage all the time. But you're changing who you are. Well, to most people, Cracker Barrel wasn't broken. I mean, whether you like it or not, you can go there and get hash brown casserole. Your belly would be full and hot, and you feel good. I mean, that's what you go for. So I think that was a good reminder to everybody in all businesses. And when you look at childcare, is that, are you telling your story? Do people know what you're about? I can tell you, Cracker Barrel's brand was defined very, very well, and it didn't need to change. And people knew what to expect. But, in your childcare center, Do people know who you are? Or are you just a place where people learn by playing? Well, that's every child care center they go to. Or what are you known for? What do you do great? And what can people count on in your building that they don't count on somewhere else? And I really hated that about Cracker Barrel. If you think about it, Kathy, like they absolutely were unique in the space. They were unique in the national. Like, why screw that up? It's crazy.
Yeah, I hear you on the uniquenesses in the story. Those were the two words I pulled out of that. What mistake do you see most business owners make in their branding?
Well, in the brand, if we're just speaking about branding, number one is, this is sounding terrible or sounding like I'm putting it on me. Like, they are doing the easy things poorly every day. So when I go into a child care center, I don't care what their logo, their name is, what signage they have, but they have, Scotch tape on the wall, dumb signs posted, things that are broken throughout the lobby and the hallways, like light bulbs that are out. Like, these are things that you're telling a story. Like, there's no way. I'm just telling you, I would not drop my child off at a child care center where I count more than one light bulb out in the building. No way. Like, if you don't pay attention to changing your light bulbs, you're not going to pay enough attention to my child. I'm just taking a risk. If you don't care about how you hang things up and, communications up with your parents, then you don't really care how you communicate with your parents. It's not important to you. And if you don't care about that, are you going to communicate the important things about my child to me? And it's hard enough. Nobody's going to care about my child as much as I do, right? That's just not going to happen. But I do want the person that takes care of the little things, the easy things. These are easy things. You and I talked about someone, you didn't tell me who it was, but we talked about a set of centers that you had gone to, and you told me, you said, it's all the easy things they're not doing. And I said, well, they don't need me, right, Kathy? They don't need me if they can't hang a picture up straight, if they can't fix a broken light bulb, if they can't, take care of their make sure their lobby's clean, make sure their vents are dusted. If they can't do those things, there's no reason to talk to a branding company. You need to get the easy things right first, because you're telling a story. Whether you want to or not, you're always telling a story.
Yeah, thank you for that. And also, I guess, everything in your building and every way you behave communicates your brand. So in that conversation, you told me a story about the way someone answered the phone. Let's take that a little farther.
So, repeat that second part. The second part.
To behavior. So agree that in the building, the look, the cleanliness, the attention to detail. What about behavior? You mentioned making everyone happy, but what all does that mean to you?
Okay, so let's say this. We used to have like a 5-foot rule. Like, you can't come within 5 foot of another human without looking at them and speaking, right? So it doesn't matter how many times you go by. If you pass a human, you should make eye contact. You should smile, and you should say hello. You should say, and you should call them by name if you know them by name. And if you don't know them by name, you should ask them their name, and you should tell them your name. That's saying something about your brand. That's saying something about who you are as a company. How many child cares do I go in? I can't, and it is numerous. I've personally owned, 30 child care centers, and it's amazing when you take them over. And if you ask the 1-year-old teacher, all the 3-year-olds, if you could take them to the 3-year-old room and say, tell me how many of these children's names you know. There's no excuse for them not to know everybody's name. Like, there's not that many people to learn in a center, and teachers should know everybody's name in the building. Directors should know everybody's names and every parent's names. There's just no missing that. That's something that you communicate in a behavior that you have it. How do you answer the phone? Are all your people trained to answer the phone? Do they smile when they talk on the phone? Do the people hear happiness when they do it? Do they answer it within 2 rings? If they can't answer the phone, if you can't answer the phone in your building within 2 rings, you are too busy for more kids and more enrollment, right? You're too busy. You got to be able to answer the phone. And if a school is too busy, here's another one. I know I'm talking too fast and giving you too many nuggets at once, but like went into a building the other week. They have one of those changeable marquee signs, right? That you can put whatever, you can put all the letters on them and say what it wants. And it says now hiring. Like if you're hiring, I'm not enrolling there. You don't have enough people to take care of the folks you have. Right? I mean, every time you're communicating that we're hiring, and using your marketing space, your branding space to say, we don't have people, you're just telling me you either don't keep people, you don't recruit people, you don't pay people good enough, and you don't have enough people to take care of the kids you got. Why am I going to give you mine? Anywhere I go, if they have a sign up that says now hiring, I'll be like, rip it out. Don't do it. You're sending the wrong message.
Interesting. I'm going to piggyback on that, although it wasn't the next question I wanted to ask, because I feel like I see a lot of business owners get in a bit of a catch-22. They know they need more staff. They know they need some improvements to their building. But they don't have the resources to do it. And it seems like that investment is maybe a little more frivolous than, classroom materials. When you're in a catch-22, so you can't build enrollment without having it. And, you know what I'm saying. Speak to that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So let's look at it this way. If a director comes to this, if I'm a director and I go to work, right? If all I am doing is waiting to react to what happens that day, I will probably get nothing done for my business. I try to tell people, and if we're going way off track with different concepts, but a director should enter their day with a routine and a time block of things that they would like to handle through a certain time of the day. So my first hour, I'm going to do my opening checklist. I'm going to know my daily schedule for employees. I'm going to greet employees. I'm going to whatever's on your opening checklist, that's what I'm going to do my first hour. My second hour, I'm going to take care of bus runs. I'm going to check over, reports from the day before, whatever. They're going to time block their things, and everything, a director's job is everything, right? But, everything needs attention that day, right? And as a business owner or as a childcare owner, you have to give your attention to everything. And so you can't come in and just say, okay, well, I only have a little bit of money. I'm going to spend it on materials. Well, if that's all you spend your money on, that's all you're going to have. And you're not going to you have to make it work across everything that needs attention, from, your curb appeal to investing in new employees, to marketing, to enrollment, to recruiting, to advertising, to capital expenses, long-term expenses that you have, and short-term like materials. You have to spend it across everything. You can't go through this seesaw and say, okay, I need classroom materials. I'm going to spend $1,000 this month on classroom materials. Okay, then you have a bunch of classroom materials. And then next month you go, okay, we're going to advertise. So then you advertise a bunch. And then the next month you need this. Well, then by the end, you're out of classroom supplies and you're out of this. You get to the end of the road and you've missed something. Look, if you don't spend money on your brand, on doing things, on improving your facility, you are going to run out of students at some point in time. You just will. Or you won't be paying your people enough. So folks that say that they don't have enough money for all of it, well, hey, you've got to spend the money on things that enroll people. And you better get creative about to have money for everything, or look for places to get money for everything. Because to be honest, Kathy, you're going to fall behind to the people like me that were in operations, that I'm going to spend money, especially like, some people say they're, some areas of the country, some areas, are going through times right now where they don't have as much enrollment this fall. Well, there's going to be people like me when things are bad, not as good, in my market. There's going to be people like me that are going, oh, this is perfect. My competition is not going to be spending money trying to acquire new customers or try to get the best employees. Now's the time I need to be increasing my recruiting to go get the best teachers from my competition. I need to be increasing my expenditures to go on marketing to get more employees. I need to be doing more on social media so that I'm attracting more people. I'm going to do more so I get more market share, and my competition gets further behind. And they're not ordering classroom materials either. They're just getting food, and now they're getting cheaper food. So they start doing this, and I start spending up here, and I just start taking people. And the more and more, so that's the way I go there. I may have gone on too long there.
No, that was really good. Actually, I share your vision for that in both the 2009 and 10 economic downturn and during COVID. We invested heavily in new relationship development. It's counterintuitive because your intuition says, let's not spend anything we don't have to spend. When you're right, those are the times to invest and be ready because it will change. It'll turn around. I want to ask you a question, and I'm going to start it with a story that Better Beans rebranded my company. So branding doesn't always have to be the name, but it was in my case. So the company's 22 years old. It was just me in the beginning. I just chose the ridiculous name that meant nothing to no one, as Alex said.
We made fun of you in your old name yesterday, by the way.
Okay.
Jason from Inventus was with us, and Alec, something came up, and Alec talked to him about Better Beans doing your rebrand. And I mean, we were even trying to remember the name. It was awful.
I'm not telling you now.
What's that?
I'm not telling you now. But yeah, when Alec started with the company, one of the first things he tried to nicely say was, how about that name? But as we grew from me to 25 employees, I wanted the brand to be more about the team and less about me. So what I love that you guys did was the process to work with the team to figure out what we believed in already. So can you talk a little bit about that? How do you bring your team into the excitement of the brand so that the team helps create it, or if the brand's already there in name, so that they help create other components of the brand? Talk about the team component.
I'm not paying attention to you, Kathy. I'm making fun of you in the chat room.
All right, Dad.
Anyway, somebody probably thought that was funny. Anyway, I do remember the name of the company. It wasn't a Strategic Solutions Group Advisors, like
it was
word salad.
It was.
I got that.
Yeah.
Right.
So talk about how you, because this was so remarkable to me when we made the decision to change the name. And that sounds so simple. I could have sat down and I could have said, we're going to be whatever. But talk about the process you guys went through. And I assume you do this with everyone because it was very standout to me. The process that you went to recommend a new name for us.
Yeah. So, and really, now, we did a class on that back at one of your first shifts, maybe the first shift.
Yeah.
Or second shift. Was it second shift? Was the first one Austin?
No, that was second.
Okay. So it was the first shift.
Was
that San Diego?
San Diego.
Okay. So, anyways, they're starting to run together. These years keep going by. Anyway, so and not to make fun, but there was, your name was terrible. Nobody knows what Strategic Solutions Group Advisors is. And it's too long. Nobody remembered it. That's what it was. It was also, it didn't. If anybody that knew Kathy and knew the people that Kathy was putting around her, she is the epitome of class, of professionalism, of kindness, of intelligence, all these amazing things that you think of when you think of Kathy. And the brand, which was basically a website and some signage that you had on booths, etc., was cartoonish, crayonish, kiddish. I think even your website had cartoons on it, if I recall properly, like a cartoon Kathy on there. It was just not what you were, not someone that was selling multi-unit regional concepts to national private equity groups. It did not tell that story. It did not tell you who the types of people you were helping, the multi-million dollar, the 8-digit sales that you were doing for people. Like, it wasn't telling that. It wasn't telling the relationships you built. There was no good story being told at all. So did we think Hinge is an awesome name, an awesome logo? Yes, I think it's proven out to see how your company's grown since you've done that. And that's obviously not the only reason. But what it did do was it allowed us, we came in, we interviewed everybody in your company. We interviewed customers. We interviewed you, everybody. And it wasn't just one person, multiple of our team interviewed y'all and had different perspectives. And then we went back, and for weeks we met and we told your story. We put your name all over walls. We put all the things that you had, and how are we going to tell that story for that, if you don't really think about it, Hinge is a door, that's what we had. And we had, a buyer and a seller and relationships on both sides of that door, and how Hinge facilitates the opening and closing of all these opportunities for people and all these great things. And then, then it was colors, and then it was products, and, and if all your swag now is classy, it's first class, it looks awesome. People like it. People use it, and people use you in the same way. We just told that story. And I think once you tell that story, you put all the stakeholders in a room, and that's what we did with you guys, Kathy. If you remember, we had everybody that we brought up there and showed the brand to in a room, and then we helped tell your story for you. It was like you had all these things in your head and these things that you were doing, and we put it out there visually for people, and then your employees just turned on, lit up. They had pride. They had, pride of their product, pride of the company they worked for, pride of the relationships they had built, pride of the job they were doing, the lives they were changing all over the country. All those things were pretty amazing. And so I don't know if I answered your question, but that's kind of the way I felt about it.
Yeah, yes, you did. And thank you for the kind words. I feel like we should end this right here, just because that will never happen again in my life. But, what I loved about the whole process, again, was that everyone had ownership and pride in it. It was a joint effort to create. So that was amazing. The accountant in me is about to jump over to some financial questions. So let's do that. So, logically, you can think, if I spend money, it will translate into more enrollment. But how can you actually measure that? How can you measure the return on your investment if you invest in branding your school? How do you think about it?
Well, I think of it a number of, let's go the accounting route first. So I'll throw something back at you. How much we go back to that budget situation when you said that some owners don't feel like they have money for whatever. If they only have a little bit limited amount of money, they should be, they're going to spend it on classroom supplies or something like that. Well, I put it like this. I think that your budget, right? Your budget should be accounting for everything. Even though you pay your property tax one time a year, right, Kathy? Do you only have that in your budget once a month? Once a year? If you have to pay property tax in November, $30,000, right? Is it only an expense in November? No, it's an expense every day, right? So 30,000 divided by 365. That's how much you owe every day in property tax, right? So so I like to think about, well, okay, I got $25. I got to go to property tax today, or I got $250. I got to go to property tax every day. That's my property tax. So if I think about that, what about your paint on the walls? How much is that every day? How much is your flooring every day? How much is your signage every day? How much is your, HVAC every day? So I think too many owners think about expenses as when they come up, like, oh man, I got to spend $30,000 on the playground, for a new piece of equipment. Well, no, you don't. You should have been spending $17 a day for the last 10 years. Right? And too many owners do not think about their business that way. You should be. So, I advise everybody, and on me and when I own centers, is that, I have X dollars that is getting set aside for capital expenses, for things that are long-term, the things that pay for flooring, cabinets, carpet, all these things, so that every 5 years I can blow it out and do it all. Or, every 3 years or every 7 years, whatever it may be, every 5 years, 5 to 7 years, I'm going to remodel my building, meaning I'm going to get new floors. I'm going to get I'm going to get more paint. I'm going to get new signage up. I'm going to have a move that bus moment for my families every 5 to 7 years, because I set money aside every day for it, just like I do for property tax, just like I do for, like, you've got to. So, whether you set aside 2%, 3% for capital expenses, you should be setting aside something every day or every month and putting that in a savings account, putting that somewhere so that you can have that moment. And I will, since I just said it, I would not, me personally, I don't like the strategy of doing carpet one year and paint the next year and, new windows in the following year, because you never get that wow, that move that bus moment that blows families away and that builds energy in the community and builds energy with your staff. It's just like, you're like the I-285 around Atlanta. You're just always under construction, right? You shouldn't have that. You should be able to wake up one day, wow, new road, unbelievable, traffic's less. That's what it should feel like.
I love move that bus moment. Talk a little bit about how you pull that off logistically with a building full of children.
Well, I mean, you certainly, shamelessly, you could be contacting Better Beans, but like you also need to find those contractors that are experienced with working nights and weekends, and that are experienced with understanding how that building needs to look the next morning or next day for kids. Typically, if I'm doing a remodel on one of my buildings or for one of our customers, we're working nights and weekends on classrooms and common areas and hallways. We typically do most of our classroom work on the weekends. Typically, we do most of the common areas during the week. And we will, clean up, 4 a.m., you're basically stopping work so that you can get the place looking like it's ready for and licensed for childcare the next day. So it's not all that difficult. It just takes a little bit of expertise.
And that can be accomplished in a weekend. Like, everyone leaves on Friday afternoon and they show up Monday morning to a move that bus moment.
Yeah.
If you have the right team. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, well, let's say that. So let's just say we're doing it depends on the scale. So if you're doing a large scale, every classroom, every common area, playground, landscape, exterior of your building, remodel, what I could say the move that bus moment is when it's done. So, that may be, 30 days. It may be 45 days. If you're doing a full exterior, roof, playground, interior, equipment, all that. But at some point you have over a course of 30 days or whatever that you did the construction, you're able to pull everything back, pull the curtain out and go, wow, have the Chamber of Commerce, ribbon cutting, have your press releases done, have the newspapers out, all that, have the social folks, your videos and all that. That's when you get that big moment.
Okay. Love that. I'm going to flip to devil's advocate a little bit when I ask this next money question. I hear you. Your advice, if I can paraphrase, sounds like find the money to do a big wow, and your return on investment in new enrollment will fund that. What if there's a business owner that just absolutely can't find a way to do a move that bus moment? Where do they start? What if you had to say three things that were the top three things that you would, let's say you have a 50-year-old building and not much investment has happened. What three things would you do that you think would help them grow enrollment to the place where they could afford more?
Okay, so if we're going to say improve enrollment from a brand perspective,
Yes.
because there's marketing things and other things that I think you could be doing as well if I made it three. So if we're saying just three on investing in your brand, which for me is telling your story visually, these are the three things that I would do. Number one is that, do you have a fantastic four walls checklist that you are diabolical and anal about checking every single day and making it perfect? So is that, have you walked through your building while it was closed and nobody was there, and just slowly walked your building and made sure that there was absolutely every wall was perfect? There's no thumbtacks in walls. There's no Scotch tape hanging. There's no, menus posted from 2 months ago outside your 1-year-old room. Everything from a four walls perspective. Do you have a great four walls checklist that starts at your curb and ends at your back door and all over your playground? Is it perfect? Do you line up your tricycles perfectly every day? Is all that perfect? Do you have a four walls checklist that costs you nothing but effort? And see, most people like to tell me they have no money. And then I go in and I see all that and I go, well, you don't really put an effort out. So yeah, you have no money. So first off is get your building, your four walls right first, and be great at that before you start spending money. The second thing that's been big to me is, I'll just give you the second and third, and I'm just going to say, well, maybe I'll just say this is second. The second is get your first impression right. Now let's get your first impression right visually. And when I say that, that is going to be curb appeal and lobby appeal. So when I pull up to your building, do I see fresh flowers? Do I see colors? Do I see grass or do I see grassy weed? Do I see it overgrown? Is it edged? Is it blown? Do I see is your parking lot striped properly? Are the signs in your parking lot, is there an old rusted handicap sign, or is there a nice branded handicap sign that you have? I'm going to take care of everything outside. And I tell you what, I'm getting super anal personally about landscaping as a part of this curb appeal. Like, you need to stand out. That's also, relatively speaking, very cheap. But most childcare owners are getting the cheapest landscaper they can get, and they're doing like every other week instead of every week. They're not getting edged and blown and pruned and trimmed properly all the time. Their trees are if they've been there a while, I guarantee I go there, their trees are overgrown. They got roots popping sidewalks, and they've got branches that hang out over their grass. The grass is dead underneath the trees. They got bushes blocking signage and visuals. And, I like to drive. I was visiting centers yesterday, and I would drive by them once going one way, and I'd drive all the way by them going the other way. And then I would turn around and pull in, because I wanted to see all the angles of the building. How does that building look to a customer driving up and down the street? And nobody does that either. So the second thing would be, how good is your curb appeal outside? How amazing can you make that? Because guess what? It doesn't take much to go to Walmart, buy some plants and flowers and plant them yourself, or to have somebody that takes care of that for you. And you got all weekend to get it done. Right? So don't tell me. So it's effort. If you don't have money, that's a very cheap way to show effort and have awesome curb appeal. I have the best curb appeal. I went to another center yesterday that was, it's a closed, dark center. And, the landscaping sucks, and, they haven't, everything's been dead for a while, even though, they weren't doing a good job when it was there. but there was a Korean church next door that, oh my gosh, their flowers and everything was so beautiful and so perfect. And there was people out there taking care of it. I was like, oh my God, man, we need to pay them to come over here and just make everything beautiful, and keep it that way, because that will show a parent that you care. And you don't want parents to think you're broke. You need to have money to take care of their kids. So anyways, the second thing would be, on the first impression is lobby. When they open that lobby, are you engaging all their senses in the lobby? What does it look like? And I know a lot of people, I'm going to give y'all cheap things again. Do they know you're in the name of your building when they walk in the front door? You'd be amazed how many front doors you can walk in the childcare business. And honestly, if somebody would have just blindfolded you and then took you in the front door and closed the front door and took the blindfold off, you wouldn't even know the name of the center you were in. That's crazy. So from colors to the, signage to your brand, like when you walk in, it should be like, wow, this is an amazing center. I love whatever the name of your building is. That's what it should look like. There's also not an invisible wall at the front desk. So many of you, childcare folks or just, and directors, they think there's a wall and that parents can't see the mess at the front desk, like all the papers you stacked up and clipboards thrown everywhere and crap thrown, drinks and old energy drinks and coffees from that morning and snacks and stuff. It looks terrible. So you need to make the lobby visually should look great from every angle. There should be interesting signage that if a parent's waiting, they're able to read stuff about your building, about your brand, about your mission, about your core values. That should be in the lobby. Things about, any interesting stories or magazines that have articles about your company. Any of those things should be out and visible for people. You should have great, comfortable seating. They should know you care. There should be great places to sit. There should be something engaging for children to do so that there's something for them to do while they're in the lobby. That's telling me something, that you intentionally care about that space and that first impression. Is there a smiling face there? Again, that's effort. Is there someone that says, hey, how are you? I'm Thad. Thank you. Welcome to, Kathy's preschool. So glad you're here today. I've got a couple of things I'm doing. Read something. You and, little Joey, y'all play with, read a book. Y'all take care of that. I'll be right back with you. Can't wait to talk to you more about our school. Like, just talk to them. That's a brand. That's what you're communicating when you go in there and do that. So I would spend money on the lobbies and if you can, the lobbies should just blow people away. However you can make them blow people away.
Yeah, I love that so much. To me, Thad, it also speaks to the team. That when they walk through that front door, they are a professional being treated to a pleasing environment that reflects what you think about them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that three things?
Yeah.
Checklist, curb appeal, lobby.
Oh, well, and you said the third thing about their brand. I will touch on it real quick. So the third thing that I would give is the actual people, what they're communicating. So if I was spending money on it, I would absolutely make sure I spent enough money. There was always somebody at the front desk watching the front door, and they're not allowed to leave. They are answering the phone. They're greeting people at the front door. They are, they can be doing managerial duties as well, but somebody needs to be at that front door. It's security, it's hospitality. And if you look at the two most important things, I would say, before educating, oh God, some of y'all are going to kill me. I'm going to say something controversial. It's at the end. So
I love it.
More important than educating a family's child that enrolled with you, I would say that that's probably third on a family's list when they enroll. Like they care about safety and security first. And they care about friendliness and relationships second. And third is probably education. And that's probably a deep third. Because let me tell you, when I first got started in childcare, I didn't know a cotton picking thing about education. But I knew how to build relationships. and I daggum knew how to keep people safe and secure. So I would invest in making sure that person's at the front door. That was pretty easy. And so if I was from a remodeling or branding perspective, I would absolutely spend money to make the lobbies look amazing, the fronts look amazing, and having people that know how to communicate your brand at the front door as well. You're fine.
The numbers person in me loves so much that in everything you just talked about, they are inexpensive things to do.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Love that. I'm going to ask one more question and then we'll jump over to our, excuse me, our Q&A. I'm sorry. So you guys pop your questions in there. Let's pick Thad's brain as much as we have him. I'm curious about multiple brands in a company. How do you feel about local brands in the context of a big company? How would you work with that? How would you position it? What have you done and feel good about?
Well, so we've done this a few ways, and I will say I've gotten in arguments with owners, national owners in the past. Look, it is my heart that single brand is the absolute best way. Now there are arguments to be had on both sides of this, and through the years, I would say that I have softened up a little bit. It's okay to have multiple brands. It's okay, and it can be really, really good. I like to tell people, like, Kathy, can you name all the hotels that Hilton owns?
No.
No, they own like 14 brands or something like that, right? And that's okay. They can all stand alone. There's an argument to be had that you don't want, if something happens bad at, Hampton Inn, you don't want that affecting your Hilton Gardens. And to a point, it won't. I know personally, you probably are too rich, Kathy, to stay at a Hampton Inn, but I know that a Hampton Inn, to me, I love staying at a Hampton because I know I'm going to get a pretty good breakfast. I'm going to get a hot coffee. There's an iron in every room, and the pillows are nice, and I get extra pillows. So I stay at a Hampton Inn. That's what I feel like they're known for. I can't tell you what a Hilton Garden's known for. So I do. So I think what's important, I do like corporate brands that have multiple local brands. I think that's not a bad idea, but you daggum sure need to make sure that the mission statement is the same, or how are you educating all the different people that work in your different brands? Because, do they have different curriculums on the same curriculum? Can they speak the language? Is it obvious to parents that, they're going to get some advantages of being a part of this large national, brand or this national company? Are they getting the advantages of that at their local childcare center? So plenty of ways to tell that. Yep.
Great. Okay, I'm hopping over to the Q&A, so you guys pop in whatever you have.
Questions.
Two-part question, Thad. What is the importance of digital marketing for childcare industry? Google, Facebook, Meta. Is it visibility of lead generation channel? I'm not sure I understand that part, but this is not my area of expertise. So how do you feel about digital marketing? I know we're all dabbling in that now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. This has been a huge focus of mine that we're jumping on. In fact, Better Beans just hired a head of digital and social media, started this week, Piper. She's awesome. Really excited about her getting started. She started day before yesterday, I guess. But so, yeah, I am a huge fan. Importance of I think that your 18 to 30-year-old female and male, they are not on, they're not looking for childcare necessarily on Google. In fact, I bet you they have searched you on TikTok or Instagram far before they have looked for you on Google. So I think you becoming, this is what I'm telling people right now is, are you an influencer in childcare in your market? You know, that's where it's at. You know, do people go, look, you know, I'm not, Kathy is an influencer in our industry. If I have a question about what's going on in childcare, I call Kathy. I'm looking to her. So people in your market, when they have questions about childcare, are they going to you? You know, I talk to the people at Better Beans. I go, look, to a lot of people, we're influencers, but we're not big enough. Like, do people know, like, when they have a design question, are they emailing Savannah? Do they know she's the expert on that? Does she know that, you know, are we filming little 1-minute videos over her shoulder, watching how she's, you know, designing or picking colors for signage or something like? So there's so many of those little videos and little moments that people would need and find interesting that you could have posted on Instagram or Facebook or Reels. Like, most of these young people and old people are spending an hour a day just dead scrolling Reels on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. It's ridiculous. So are you showing up in those? Not just as an advertisement, but something compelling, fun, and interesting. So yeah, I think it's hugely important. So recommended marketing budget. You know, I recommend at least 2% marketing every month. So you should be setting aside at least that much for marketing, but there's so much that can be done for free now. So anyway.
Good point. And 2% of revenue is what you mean.
Yep. What'd I say?
That's what you said, 2%. I just wanted to make it clear that it's 2% of revenue. And of course, hey guys, we know you can't see me and Thad right now. We've got a little video issue going on, but we're here. I think you can hear us.
Hey, Cooper Shaw, I see you.
Here we have Cooper. Hey, Cooper.
Hey, Cooper.
This is my Hinge team, y'all. We can see them, but we're gonna keep talking. It's okay. It's an inverse relationship with the spending, right? So I love that 2% of normalized income or income at a certain occupancy. But also, as your occupancy drops, you need to be spending more, right? Yeah. So you might, it's one of the few expenses that as a percent of revenue has to go backwards. As your revenue drops, that percent needs to increase. And it never needs to go away, but as your revenue increases, it can normalize at 2%. I will say I speak with a lot of business owners who are just rocking it. You know, they are really doing well, full enrollment, making a lot of money. And they're quite proud that they don't have to spend money on marketing. They have a referral system. That speak to that. Even if you are just slam full, what would you do? What, like, is digital marketing it? Keep it at 2%.
I would be crushing. I mean, great. If let's say I have a childcare center doing, let's just throw out a great number. Like, if you have a childcare center that's doing $3 million a year in revenue, right? They are absolutely murdering it, right, Kathy? I mean, they're in the top 1% or 0.5% of childcare centers in the world at $3 million. You better still be spending 2% because now you can be murdering your competition. Sorry to use harsh words, but you absolutely are killing them. What is McDonald's? You know, they stop advertising hamburgers, or Coca-Cola stop selling Coke? Like, no, like they always spend that budget. That's how you stay top of mind, and that's how you become a brand leader. That's how you stay an influencer. Just because you get busy, you shouldn't be stopping. You should be doing more.
Stay relevant.
Because if you're spending more, you're going to be doing more. Now you should have more employees and more videos and more things to post, more things that are interesting, more time to do fun things, more time to help families and educate them. Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. One more question, and I'll piggyback on this with Carol. Great question, Carol, that she read recently that word of mouth is no longer the main way young parents search for childcare. So historically, we would hear word of mouth or drive-by. She's saying 83% search social media platforms for their childcare needs. Do you have any statistics or just generalizations that you know on that, Thad?
Oh, I mean, I don't have a statistic, but that's the only way. I mean, that's the only way people look. Every young person I hire, if you ask them where to go eat, they're not searching for places to eat on, Google, or they're not waiting for word of mouth. They're absolutely looking at you on Instagram. They're checking out when your last posts were. Let's just say, if your last post was 2 weeks ago, they're not eating with you. You're not interesting. You're not an influencer. They're not going to be cool for posting their picture of their plate with you. So yeah, I agree, Carol. Perfect.
Yeah, thank you for that, Carol. Really good point. I'm going to close it up with asking you, Thad, how can people reach out to you or the Better Beans team if they want to start a conversation or continue one about their school's branding and to get your suggestions? How can they reach you?
Yeah, well, you can always reach me at 770-380-0387. I won't repeat that, but that's my cell phone number. You're welcome to get it however you want. But you can also
put it in the chat. I'm going to put it in the chat. You said it so fast.
Okay, I'll put some things in my chat for you too. You can always reach me, but you can email me at thad@betterbeansbranding.com, thad@betterbeansbranding.com. You can email the team at info@betterbeansbranding.com. That's also pretty easy. You can also just link up on the website or find us on Instagram and, hit DM us on that. All those work.
Tell me your email again. I threw your phone number up there.
That's the wrong number.
It is?
Huh?
That's where I call you. That's the wrong number. I'm sorry.
No, that's my right number. You're welcome to use it. But you're also welcome to go to any of our places, DM us, and we'd love to reach out and talk to you, to have hopefully set up an initial call or have the team come out, take a look at your buildings and your brand, and give you some suggestions on remodel, construction, or brand. We'd love to be able to help in any way we can. I'll also we'll be at the Georgia Childcare Association conference this Sunday and Monday, and looking forward to a big shift conference where I believe I'm main staging because Jacqueline's not going to be there to do me wrong, and we'll be ready to rock the house there. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Thad. We really appreciate your willingness to share yourself and your knowledge with our community, and looking forward to having you at Shift this year. Thanks everyone for joining. Reach out if you have questions, and we'll love to see you again. See you soon.